3 days of rain, Breton fields, then English plains, charmless gas station and discreet bivouac on the edge of the fields, and then suddenly a sign: Scotland. And then finally I arrived at Edinburgh. I parked near Princess Street Gardens and strolled between the shadows of the trees and the silhouette of the tombstones. St Giles Cathedral is a masterpiece of Scottish Gothic architecture with origins dating back to the 12th century. The ceiling of the main nave is painted deep blue with golden ribs, symbolizing the heaven sky and naturally draws the eyes towards the divine. At the center of St Giles Cathedral ceiling is a coat of arms featuring a Scottish unicorn and an English lion, symbolizing the union under James VI. In Celtic mythology, the unicorn symbolized purity, innocence, masculinity, and power. The unicorn was chosen as Scotland's national animal because it would rather die than being captured, just as Scots would fight to remain sovereign and unconquered. Then James VI became James I of England and Ireland and replaced one of the two unicorns of the original shield with the national animal of England, a lion, to demonstrate unity. A distinctive detail is the presence of a coat of arms adorned with a fleur-de-lis attached to some of the nave's stone columns. I'm not an historian, but the fleur-de-lis traditionally is linked to the French monarchy, but could carry both religious and historical symbolism here. Religiously, the fleur-de-lis represents purity, and it's a symbol of the Virgin Mary, to whom many medieval churches were dedicated. Historically, it could be a reference to the Auld Alliance between France and Scotland, a long-standing political and military alliance against England. It also appears in the British coat of arms because of a long-standing claim of the kings of England to the crown of France. High Street in Edinburgh is one of the most vibrant and iconic streets in the Old Town. It's often brought to life by street musicians, artists, and cultural events.
Imagine his circus!
Just outside Edinburgh stands Holyrood, the ancestral home of the Kings of Scotland. Before the palace became a royal residence, the city housed an abbey, founded in the 12th century. The dark yet powerful walls of Holyrood Castle have protected the Stuarts from the enemies even as they conceal their own misdeeds. During the troubled reign of Mary, Queen of Scots, only daughter of James V, and Mary of Guise, the violence of the Scottish court reached new heights. In 1565, the young queen, widow of King Francis II of France, married her cousin Mary Stuart, Lord Darnley, as her second husband. However, he soon proved to be unfaithful, alcoholic, and violent. The Queen, 7 months pregnant with their only child, the future James VI, found solace from her husband's infidelities in the company of her friend, her confidant David Rizzio. On the evening of March the 9th, 1566, jealous of Rizzio's influence, Darnley broke into the palace where the Queen was dining with her favourite. Despite Mary's protest, Rizzio was dragged into the audience chamber and stabbed 56 times under the horrified gaze of a sovereign, who was threatened at gunpoint by her own husband. Less than a year later, the consort king himself lost his life, likely strangled on the orders of James Hepburn, Earl of Bothwell, who 3 months later, in the council chamber, became the Queen's third husband. This was too much for the Scottish noble, who forced Mary to abdicate in July of that year in favour of her 1-year-old son, James VI. The Queen of Scotland was then held prisoner in England, where she sought the protection of Elizabeth I. She was then eventually beheaded on the order of her cousins after 18 years of confinement. Her ghost appearing as a white lady is said to still haunt Holyrood Northwest Tower. Another spectre, Agnes the Bold, is also said to roam the palace corridors in the nude. Her real name was Agnes Sampson, a renowned healer and midwife from the Keith region. She was suspected of using black magic to raise storms and summon demons to wreck the royal ship carrying Anne of Denmark, whom the sovereign had just married in Copenhagen. Agnes was the main victim of this witch hunt, which saw 2,000 trials recorded in the Scottish archives. She was personally interrogated by the King of Holyrood. The witch's bridle, a leather strap with sharp iron prongs placed over the tongue and cheeks of the accused, finally broke her resistance. Agnes Sampson confessed to 53 charges against her before being stripped, shaved, garroted, and burned at the stake. However, the restless souls did not seem to trouble Elizabeth II, who used to stay there for a week each year from July to early August. At the edge of the city rises an extinct volcano named Arthur's Seat. The name comes from the fact that some believe it's one of the possible locations of Camelot, or a site linked to Arthur's battles in Scotland. So the day after, I decided to hike the hill to watch the sunrise. It was insanely windy, so I was certainly not gonna use the drone, but still the view was stunning, and watching the sunlight covering the city is definitely something I would recommend. Money is simple, flour with cold, and trim them